Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first round. It's game day of NRL Fantasy Season 2022. We're here to talk through the three teams that we've come up with. We have the People Squad, we have my head-to-head team that I've put together, and also my team. And you're going to get that last just to build some suspense. I know everyone's been waiting for this moment to see my official round one team. I'm pretty happy with it. Obviously, we can't be 100% happy, but where we're at, it is what it is, and we'll see what happens in round one. But just a few things to mention at the start. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone in the preseason for being here, watching the videos. We've had a lot more subscribers come to the channel, a lot more people come here and watch, and a regular viewers, and the love I've been getting has been awesome. So thank you very much for that. The second thing I wanted to do is actually announce the prizes for my overall league. So I did say there's going to be 3 prizes, and if you're coming first in my league, I'm going to be putting up some cash. So first in my league is going to be a $200 straight from me. No gift vouchers or anything like that, which is pretty cool. Second place is going to be $100, and third place is going to be joining up with all 3. So the second part to this prize is our first 3 guys have the opportunity to come and meet me. We're going to do a bit of a hangout all together. If everyone's over 18, we might go to the pub and have some. I'll put on a few beers in the feed, for example. If we have a younger crew, maybe we just hang out and go kick the footy or do something cool. But it's just a nice way to hang out and celebrate the 3 winners along with myself. If we can't make it, or if we can't do it based on travel or something like that, if everyone's fairly close, I'm from New South Wales and Sydney, so if everyone's here, that's great. If not, I can do some traveling as well, make a bit of a weekend out of it or something. But that would be cool. And also the 3 guys who come first, second, and third are also going to win a 20-minute Zoom chat with me after Team List Tuesday, for next year in 2023. So I think that's pretty cool. We can sit down and have a good chat about your team. So just getting a little bit of access to me as well. Obviously, as the channel's getting bigger, it's going to be harder and harder for me to reply to everyone and stuff like that. So that's the announcements, guys. I hope that I hope you find that fun. And the only rules to this are you have to be subscribed to the channel before round 1 tonight, and you have to be a member of the Discord group. So I'll check those numbers tonight and see where it's at. Come start of round 1. If you don't see this video till sometime during the round, then I'll allow it to be close of business or close of round, the end of round 1. So now we've got that all out of the way, we're going to get into the People Squad, and you can probably see a little bit of it now already. So this has been put together in the Discord groups. Again, if you haven't joined that, jump in there and have a little bit of a play around, and I'll just check right before game day tonight to see if there's any changes people want. But I think everyone's pretty set on this squad. So you can see Randall up top, which means we have Harry Grant in the interchange. And the reason he's in interchange 4 is because we can use him as a bit of a loop option. If you're not sure about how that works, he can sit in that number 4 jersey. He plays later on in the round, which is really cool, right? He plays later on, which means we have a few guys that we could plug in and play in that number 5 jersey, for example. So Billy Walters is going to be playing earlier on in the round. If he scores pretty well, we can leave Grant there and we'll get Walters as the emergency. If he doesn't play very well, we also have Nanai, who plays after Grant. He can come into that 4 jersey. It's a little bit of a crash course on looping. The Randall's in there. We have Payne Haas as our skip at the moment. Very, very consistent. I think a majority of people are going to be selecting him if you haven't got Fafita, DCE, that kind of player. So he's going to be really cool. The guys have decided to go with Taumalolo. So hopefully just a little bit more of an uninterrupted season in terms of injuries. Obviously, he didn't play the trials, so that's a bit of an issue. But at 620k, he probably has a little bit of upside and can get back to keeper status. Isn't playing Origin, so if he can get a couple extra minutes and be a bit more damaging than he was last year, and get back to his previous self, then he's going to be great. Stefano, we're looking at some upside with him. Hopefully, if he gets that over 50-minute role, then he's going to do really well. Just look at the Tigers, guys, and they don't really have a clear gun forward in their side, and he stepped up into that role at the back end of last year, and if he can continue that, he's going to be undervalued. If you look at his last 6 scores at the end of last year, then he would be good for your side. So I think at 557, has an opportunity to become a keeper. So that's a pretty easy one to select. If you're still a bit grayed up on him, I'm still not 100% sure. I look at guys I picked last year in Tino and Welch. Welch did pretty well. Tino not so much. So I suppose if we're going Arrow and Stefano, one of them might just hang around their average or drop a little bit in price, but we'll have to find out. Maybe this year it works the other way. Anyway, edges, we've got Chualangi and Arrow. Both sort of self-explanatory. We've spoken about both of them, which is cool. We then go to the halves in Dylan Brown. So I think a lot of people have been in the People Squad or in the Discord have been listening to me. Obviously liking Dylan Brown this year. His role and fantasy scoring won't change too much with the new rules. And I think he has some upside in the attacks. Obviously, everyone else thinks that also. Lockie Ilias, he's in there. We got Kurt Mann as well, so either one of them can be switched between. Kurt Mann also can cover on the mids as well. So that's that. We've gone with Isaac Tago in our starting center. He covers the center the edge as well. I think he'll work into the season a little bit, but he's going to be a solid addition to the squad. Ewan Aiken in there as well, so someone that's been a mainstay in a lot of people's sides across the beginning of the season. He's in there as well, so that's cool. And down below, we've got Hines, Crichton, and Pappenhausen. Pretty self-explanatory. We've got Hines as vice captain at the moment, but we could change that as we go. Obviously, Haas plays pretty early in the week anyway. And on interchange, so it's all pretty well set up at the moment. We've got Bullymore, who covers a few positions. We've got Kurt Mann, Schneider, who I think is pretty safe to play this week. Obviously, it's his first game, proper game in the starting side. And then you got the Grant Loop. So that's the People Squad. We're left with 14k remaining, so nothing crazy with that. But we did save some cash to obviously put in Harry Grant, and we're going to have a little bit of a look at an Excel spreadsheet shortly. I've got the three teams together and a bit of a projection on what points the guys should be scoring. So this team's obviously going to be projected a little bit lower for round one, but should be sweet from 2 onwards. And if Grant can come out and really dominate, then even better for this squad. So that's that, the People Squad. Let me know what you think about that one, and we'll move on to my head-to-head team. This is a really interesting one, as I think I've definitely gone for a different strategy. We're going to talk about my team in a second, but in the head-to-head team, I've gone for a bit more of the guns and cash cow strategy, and my team a little bit more through the mid-ranges and mixing a couple of guns in there as well. So very interesting. I was very tempted to downgrade one of these guys and upgrade elsewhere. I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to do it at this stage, but this is currently the team that I'm pretty happy with. I'm just wanting to put Burton in, who is not in this side at the moment. So we have Damien Cook up top. Again, someone that I think is going to do pretty solidly. He'll be a little bit up and down, the random 40 with a random 80 in there to average around that 60 mark, but he's someone you could captain if you needed to as well. Ryan Madison comes into the squad. I find this is it's funny in this head-to-head thing. I'm like, all right, this looks cool. This will be a bit funky. This is a little bit different. I put Madison in there, and I looked at his offloading numbers as well. Yes, playing in the middle is a bit different, but that dual position is going to be cool. If he can stay on the park and not get concussed, then he's going to do really well, I think, at that slightly cheaper price than a lot of the guns out there. So I've plugged him in. He is the guy that I'm thinking about possibly downgrading, whether it to be to a Stefano, an Arrow. There's a few guys like Paulo and stuff, but I'm not super high on them. Let me know what you think. I was thinking about downgrading him to one of those guys. It would leave me about 120k. I would then upgrade Bird to Burton. 60k extra. And then I would have a little bit extra money to, instead of have Russell on the bench in the emergencies, I'd be able to have someone like Xavier Coates. Let me know what you think on that one. Which one you think would be better? But we'll have to get a little bit of time. There's 7 hours until lockout. We'll be a little bit less by the time this is posted. Madison, Payne Haas is captain as well, and also Kurt Mann in the mid. So it's very strong mids, which is pretty cool, along with the strong hooker. Edge, we get a gun in Angus Crichton, so really high on him. Obviously, a slightly down year last year, but has the dual position and is going to be super consistent on that left edge for the Roosters. Won't have to run out of the line as much, do as much in that sense, and should be able to defend really well and attack well also in a team that's going to do better than they did last year. So I think he's going to be cool. I've also gone for Ben Hunt in the halves. I had DCE in this position. I just wanted to use that little bit of extra money to get someone like a Madison in the mids there and spend a little bit of money elsewhere and get guys like Cook, for example. So Ben Hunt is the man to do the job. He's going to have sole custody of this team. Amone is going to be doing a little bit more of the running, but Ben Hunt loves to run as well. And he's doing a lot of the kicking. He's got a lot going on in this side. And at 675, he's going to lose a little bit on the tackle breaks and also the kicking, but he also gains a little bit in the offload. So probably down about 5 points on his average last year, but he may have a little bit bigger of a role with Norman not being next to him. So I think that's a good idea in the halves. If you're interested in him as well, then that's okay. Lockie Ilias in the starting half position, I think is fine. We've got Schneider Walters as cover. And if we were to go Burton, for example, we could pop in the halves. We get Kurt Mann to the half. So there's plenty of options out there as cover. In our centre position, it was Jack Bird or Ewan Aiken. And I've actually decided to go with Bird in this side. We have Aiken in the people squad. So just for a slight point of difference, I can't really split them at the moment. Bird or Aiken, Aiken or Bird, doesn't really matter. Edge centre, same price pretty much. Bird 5k cheaper. I think he's going to be solid. And I decided to go a little bit cheaper in the centre position with Billy Smith there, rather than going for a Berry or a Penasini. I think it just worked a little bit better for this side. I was able to pick up a few different guys that were a little bit more expensive. So Smith has that upside for sure. He's a great player, just needs to keep him on the park. So that's where I've gone there. And I do also have, Isaac Tago on the emergencies who I could start with, but I think Smith early on has a little bit more upside. If he can stay on the park, then Tago does. And then we got the bottom, Hines, Crichton, Pappenhausen. Pretty comfortable with this. You have 32% ownership with him. You have 30% ownership with Pap there as well. On the interchange, we have Randall, Bullymore, Schneider, and Walters with Tago on the emergency there. King, Russell, Thompson. So you can see here with the guns and cash cow strategy, I've gone pretty light in the interchange. Not many guys over 300k, apart from Randall, Bullymore, and Tago. So 5 cheapies there, let's say. This could prove a couple of problems. But when you look at the starting side, you go, yeah, that's really, really strong. But that the emergencies there, if it goes well, then I could have a super duper awesome team here in the head-to-head squad. If it doesn't, then we have a slight worry. Yeah, is what it is. But same in my team when I'm going to talk about a few more mid-ranges, for example. Could have some issues there when they don't gain the money you need when some of the guns in this team are dominating, for example. The only other thing to talk about on the head-to-head side of things is the fact that, yes, I have Crichton that's a good chance of playing that will be playing Origin. I have Cook that's playing Origin, Hunt will, Payne Haas will, and then you have Pappenhausen should get on the bench, you'd say, or Nico Hines, one of them would. Madison has a chance to play Origin as well. So a bunch of guys here that should be playing Origin. In the head-to-head league, you're not worried about the Origin rounds. Yes, the rounds around Origin would be of interest for you to make sure these guys play. But yeah, these kinds of plays you don't need to think about too much coming into round one. And we'll see when I reveal my team that there's a slight difference in terms of those types of guns that I'm putting in my side, or the ones that I think are maybe a slight chance of playing Origin or not. So that is that. Let me know your thoughts on the head-to-head team. The other thing I'm doing, guys, is just popping JBFA, so Jamie Brown Fantasy Analysis, in the front of that name there. So if you see that, that's what that means. And if anyone else has that, or if you'd like to rock that tag, I know a few of the other Facebook groups, for example, have whether it be the Rogues tag, we do have the Fantasy Amateurs who have FA as well, but so I put the JB in front of it. You got Renegades, there's all those types of groups as well. So if you'd like to do that, that'd be cool. If not, no worries at all. All right, the grand reveal. Here we go. My team. All right, we have 12k in the bank. Actually, should say that we had 16k for head-to-head. All right, the NRL Fantasy Analysis team. Very interesting up top there with going with Reid Mahoney or Reid Mane, however we say it. The reason I wanted to go, I was tempted to go with Cook. I just feel like I needed a gun hooker. It made the team balance a lot better. It was Reid or Cook for me, and just with what happened at the first game last year with Cook, if he gets 40 again, it would kill me. If Reid gets 40, it is what it is, right? So that's definitely a mental block there for last year. But decided to go with Reid. I mean, obviously only a tiny bit more expensive. I just think he has some great upside. He obviously scored 100 first game last year, so there's a little bit of that in it as well. They're going to have a nice run to start. He should be doing a little bit of everything. He's kicking in general play as well, so he can cover most of the bases. And I think he's a little bit more consistent than Cook. Probably going to score a similar average across the year. Reid shouldn't be playing Origin. You got Ben Hunt in that 9 jersey, so that's where I'm at with Reid on that one. Let me know your thoughts on him as a vice captain as well in your side. So here is where I'm talking about the mid-ranges that I'm starting with, and I'm going to go with Stefano and Arrow. I'm finding it very hard to split them. I think they both have a little bit of value, whether that be 5 to 7 points, so anywhere close to that 48 to 50 average, and they're not going to take too much of my bank, for example. Having these two also allows me to have some cover on the bench and not stress too much. And that's the other big thing, guys, is make sure you're having some cover on the bench, and we'll discuss that in this squad. So I think it's fairly well balanced in terms of having guys to cover in every single position, which is something I didn't do last year. And it was something that I wouldn't have if I just went Randall. I wouldn't have any hooking cover, and I would definitely have to trade coming into the next few rounds and attempt to bring in Grant or something like that. So happy with Reed up there. Stefano, Haas, and Arrow. Haas as captain, I think he's the most consistent guy on the park. Won't have the super duper upside that someone like DCE will for feeder, for example, but Payne's going to be my man. On the edge side of things, I'm happy to start with Tuolangi if he doesn't happen to get the starting job and he's on the bench, then I'll probably move Bullymore in there. That's a decent option. I can go Bird up, for example, and move a few other options, which I'll talk about in a sec. Someone like Rocco Berry, which I've popped in my side still. So Tuolangi and Aiken. Aiken's been a mainstay in my team for a long time. He has a very, very high average in that 6 games last year. I think he's just under 70 was the average he had. Yes, he had a bunch of tries, but he's just someone who's going to defend well. He's going to make you 30 to 40 tackles. He loves running the ball. Offloads isn't really his thing. Tackle breaks are, so we lose a little bit there. But at 540k, I can see him being priced somewhere in the 600s this year, and you get him as a keeper in the centers. I think it's a bit of a no-brainer with him, but there's also the chance that he doesn't score as many tries as he did. If that's the case, if he can average somewhere around the 50 mark, 70 down to 50, take away those tries, for example, I think that's going to be fine. So that's him there. And I did decide to go with Dylan Brown in the half. So 641k, doesn't break your bank. Spoke about him, obviously, in the People Squad video. He's someone I think that has a little bit of upside on the attacking side of thing, and with them having a pretty nice draw to start, he also is someone that isn't going to be playing Origin. Arrow will, that's probably the thing, but I doubt I'm going to be keeping Arrow past that point. Stefano has a chance as well, but again, we want to make them some cash with them, and then if they don't make Origin, great. If they do, we can move them on, for example, for someone else, unless they turn into keepers. Stefano does, for example. If he turns into a keeper in fantasy, he's probably going to be making an Origin side. With Dylan Brown, we got Kurt Mann as his partner in the halves, and we got plenty of cover in the halves position. All right, we move down to centers, and we see Jack Bird and also Will Penasini. So again, someone I'm looking to get in one of the teams would be Manny Burton. But unfortunately, I haven't been able to do that. Just cash-wise is a little bit tough. The other option would have been downgrading with Stefano and Arrow, for example, and getting both for more was an option. But decided against that at this stage. I'm happy with Bird. I think you see in the bunch of games he played in Edge last year, he averaged 50 on the dot, and he didn't do anything crazy. So if he can take out a little bit or a few of his missed tackles, if he's playing 80 minutes, which we think he should be, then I think he's going to do well for anyone's side. And Will Penasino, I think, just had too much upside to leave out of the side. I could have had a cheapy centre there, but with the cash and how it's going to work out, I was like, well, Penasini, he's a very strong player. Like some of what he showed the back end of last year in the final series, and then what he showed in the trials there, I think was really, really good. So Penasini, I'm locking him in as a starter in my side. Coming up against not a crazy good side at the moment. They probably will by the end of the year, but the Titans, I think he should be able to score fairly well. And then a very standard wing fullback combo here with Hines, Stephen Crichton, and also Pap. If Pap's out round one, then we have to make a few decisions. But I suppose with Pap there at 636, we can make a bunch of trades pretty comfortably, or one straight trade to a hammer. CNK, I know what. Let's check the NRL. So if he's out, we have they're the third last game, aren't they? Oh no, I'm looking at round 2 now. That's good. No, women's are up to. Start again. They play the third last game. That's right. So we can move him to the hammer, for example. I could move like a Berry. That's interesting. If Pappy's out, I could move Berry into the starting side, into the wing fullback. When does they play? These are all the things that you got to work out on the fly. Okay, so if we find out on Saturday, which we should, or probably we'll find out 24 hours before maybe. If we find out, then we can move Rocco Berry into the starting side, and I could pick up Matty Burton. So have a bit of a contingency plan on what happens if Pap is not named round 1. Or you can just pop him in a red dot and get the reserves, for example, is completely fine. But they're the 3. And on the interchange, we have decided to go for a little bit of cover in the wing fullback position. So having Penasini as just a centre, wanted him in my side. So Rocco Berry comes in at that little bit more expensive. He can cover centre and wing fullback, but I just think he has a clear opportunity in this side, a spot that is his to keep, and he's only going to be out of the team through suspension or injury. So just having that, knowing that he's going to be there exactly. We're not sure what's going to happen with Shawnee Russell, Balaye, If that's a Valley, yeah, we'll go Vielia. That's I can't remember. Sorry, we'll get better at that. Bunch of those guys. Schiller, for example, we're not exactly sure how long they're going to be in the side. So Rocker, we know, will be safe in that team. We've got Randall, Bullymore, Ilias, and Snyder. If I want to have them as my starters, and then if we have any issues, I can plug Rocco Berry into that starting side, for example. Maxi King and Leo Thompson, just as a real cheap guy that has some potential across the year, whether it's only a couple of rounds at the start and then potential for later in the year. They're the kind of guys I'm looking at keeping in my side. But I think this one we're pretty set with the team. It's just that head to head. We might want to move slightly. So yeah, just there you go. That's the team reveal. If you have any questions, get in the comments. I'll try to reply to everyone. I know it's been very hard. There's been a lot of questions, and again, appreciate all the support so far. But just a reminder to get in as a subscriber, get in the Discord group. I will, as I said, have a list of all the guys by the end of the round that are in there, and they're going to be the only ones that are eligible for the prizes up for grabs. I hope those prizes are pretty cool, and you're very interested in being able to win this league. I know a few of the other guys, OTL, are putting up a voucher and a shirt, which I really love that shirt. Yeah, it looks good. But yeah, that's where we're at, guys. I appreciate you guys so much. This is gonna be the last video before the start of round 1 tonight. I will be sitting with TK, guys, heading to his house actually, and we're going to do a bit of a live stream. I'll be live streaming on my YouTube. He'll be live streaming on the Facebook page. We'll put them right next to each other and have a bit of a chat, answering all your questions as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and good luck with your season for 2022. I'll be here all the way through. See you guys. Have a good one.